Hello YouTubers, and today I'm reviewing another NECA figure, and this one is actually mine. So this is the Good Guy doll, or aka it's Chucky. And yeah, this is the ultimate Chucky from NECA, so let's just take a look at the box. So as you can see, I really do like the box design. It's made to look like an actual Good Guy doll box from the first Child's Play film. Even to the point on the side where we've got this artwork saying, he can be a construction worker, a brave Indian, a fearless fireman. NECA Real Toys. He wants to be your best friend. I'm sure he does. On the back, we've got, he wants to be your best friend. Let him share your secrets. Now, this was just on the entirety of the box on the actual prop. Whereas on here, we've also got additional images of Chucky in various poses. On the other side, we've got he can be a cowboy, a courageous soldier, a doctor, and a superstar baseball player. Again, NECA. Now on the top, I've tried to remove the sticker that the company who shipped this to me put on, and they've used the world's strongest adhesive for it. We do have a choking warning. Not suitable for children under 3 years old. This isn't really a children's toy, really. This is, you know, a collector's figure. Again, we've got credits for sculpting and everything. A random barcode and legal information. Just like all the other Ultimate Edition NECA figures, we have an open door that's velcroed shut, which reveals the figure itself, and you can see him with all of his accessories there, displayed quite nicely. And again, an image of Chucky himself in a pose with his not his classic knife though. But anyway, let's get this figure out of its box and review it, shall we? Okay, so here's the figure out of its box, and it is tiny. Just to give you a perspective, look how tiny this thing is. It is a really, really small figure. But we're here to review it, so let's review it out. I've swapped the head for what might be my favourite head, so we might as well review this one first. So taking a look at the head, you can see that it's been given a slight gloss, a slight sort of shimmer to it. I guess to try and make it look more doll-like. And I sort of have mixed feelings on this. It doesn't look too bad on camera, but in person it does look a bit glossy. I think they maybe should have toned it down a little bit, but otherwise it does look pretty good. You can see the freckles and also the blood. I was trying to wrap my brains in trying to think of which version of Chucky this represents. And I don't know, is it trying to represent the Curse of Chucky look? Because there isn't any stitching or anything on this one, so I'm just a bit confused. I think it's meant to be sort of midway through. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be Curse of Chucky because there's a little bit of stitching there on his chin and just around here. So I think it's meant to be the excuse me, Curse of Chucky look. It does look excellent nonetheless. You can see all the scarring on there, and if we just zoom in a bit more, there we go. You can see all the scarring around there, especially around his eye socket there, and it does look absolutely excellent. He does look really intimidating. I do like the sunken eye look. The hair also looks excellent. It's all sort of draggy and let down, and his knife just fell on the floor. But it does look really good. And continuing, you can see his ears sculpted there, and it does look really good. It definitely has, this one probably has the best likeness to Chucky out of all of the heads that are included in this set. It does look really good. I do like the hair also. It's just not all being painted one colour. It has sort of bits of blonde in there, although in the light it looks almost gold. But yeah, Chucky is ginger obviously, but he does have a few sort of blonde-ish highlights on there. And you see this piece of hair there is a separate piece, and the hair is actually separate from the head as well. That is glued on. Taking a look at his overalls, his good guy doll overalls, you can see there we've got all the patterns and that. These are obviously all based on the one from the first film, so it is the darker blue, whereas later on it got lighter, then darker again. But this is based off the first one, so it's not accurate for all of them, but it's accurate for the first film. You can see Good Guy being printed on there. They've also printed on the stitching all the way around, and also the little buttons there to button up his overalls, his dungarees, which we call them in the UK. I even like here they've got the sort of the elasticity of the back of them there, and also the creases, and it kind of looks like Chucky's wearing a bit of a nappy in it. And you can see there the pattern continues, and we've got his little shoes, his little trainers there, which are the Good Guy ones. They look an awful lot like Adidas trainers, actually. They actually look a lot like the Adidas trainers that I actually wear. I didn't realise, but yeah, that they are a darker red. They should be, I think they do look pretty good. Maybe they should have been a tad lighter, but I think they do look excellent. You've got the two little peg holes in the bottom. Unfortunately, they don't have the tread, which would be the pickaxe and stuff that obviously the police think Andy did it, but obviously it's Chucky. Now, am I disappointed that it doesn't have this? A little bit, but not really at the same time, because it is very, very teeny tiny. Maybe if they'd done an alternate pair where you could swap the feet, but unfortunately that is not the case. You can see also we've got a little bit of paint bleed here and there on his shirt, which is a bit especially compared to other NECA figures. It's just a bit and there are a few problems with this figure, which I will definitely get into, but it does look pretty good, and it is a really nice representation of Chucky. If we take a look at these hands that I popped in, this one is his grip hand, and this one's just more of a slightly open palm one. And you can see this hand pops off really easily, which is irritating. However, this other hand, which I swapped, for some reason, when I tried pulling this one out before, because in the box, he just comes with more of an open hand like this, which is pretty basic but pretty nicely well detailed. And when I tried pulling it out, it pulled the peg out along with it. And the head is another issue, which I will get onto in a minute. I'll quickly go through the articulation though. It's typical NECA figure, so the head is on a ball joint, so it means it can do a large variety of poses. So that means you can look... It can't do a 360 with this head because of the hair, however, it can look up and down and nod side to side as well, so it does have a nice variety of articulation. The arms are fairly restricted. They can do a 360, but only up to this angle. Again, the overalls on that are getting in the way. We have a 90-degree bend at the elbow, and these are also slightly ball jointing, so they can do a 360 there. So you can put them in a nice variety of movements. The hands are on a peg ball joint, so they can move around in the same way. So you can put Chucky in some nice poses, though not quite as many as the larger figures, and that is simply because this is a smaller figure, so there's less room for as many ball joints, and for example, this is only a single joint rather than a double joint. However, getting on to his legs, they are sort of double jointed, sort of, but not really. It's just a very large ball joint at the leg, so they can sort of swivel to the side and come out. And they can do the sort of splits. One leg can go like that, and one leg can go like that, so now you can kick Chucky in. I'm not even going to say. And the feet also have this sort of ball joint as well, so you can position him however you like. Overall, a nice degree of articulation. There are better articulations, but considering how small this figure is, it is pretty impressive of how much articulation you get out of this thing, considering obviously how small it is. Just to compare him, here's a empty CD case. Just to compare him, he is smaller than basically a CD or DVD. So he is a pretty small figure, but he is pretty impressive with his articulation. So now let's get on to the alternate head, shall we? Okay, so this is the head he comes packaged with, and this is like your standard sort of good guy doll looking head. It does look, well, exactly like the head did. Pretty much is all I can particularly say about that. However, just looking at it, taking a look, the hair looks similar to Chucky's, but not exactly the same. We can focus. There we go. So the hair does look similar to Chucky's, however, is a bit lighter on this one. And in the first film, it kind of was a bit lighter, so yeah, they've done good on that. Now, also something worthy of note is also the eyes are very large in this, but they seem to have gotten a bit of a paint bleed again on this, and it hasn't really covered the full sockets of the eyes either. We can see though the little freckles and the little eyebrows on there, which does look really nice, and the hair does look pretty good. However, this head was a quality control issue. Why? And this is the reason why I'm holding it like this. Ah! What happened? Yep. When I first got this figure out of the box, and I've actually recorded the footage for this, which I'll put at the end probably. When trying to pull this head off, this head was practically impossible to pull off. I basically had to hold this over a kettle to soften the plastic in order to get the head on. And with this one, I had to hold it over the kettle to heat up the plastic to get this head on. But yeah, immediately, for the first pull, this head just came immediately off. And this is a serious issue with this figure. The build quality is not great. I've mentioned the thing with the peg on the hands, but also this entire bottom section here, his legs, it is plugged into the figure through a ball joint. So you can sort of do this a bit. However, they also came out. Now, I've managed to push that back in, so it's in now. And I have sent the company who I bought this from a message basically saying, hey, this head come off. So hopefully I will get a replacement. If I don't, I will be getting some super glue and super gluing the hair back onto this head. Because that is something really I do not like. Because it's using the Olga style massive ball joint, which I'm not going to bother showing you because I don't want to take this head off. Normally I would put the heads on the figure, but unlike the Michael Myers figure from Halloween 2018, which uses the thin peg, which is a much better method than this huge massive ball that pops into there. Yeah. Also, the plastic is just too hard and rigid. It needs to be a lot softer round here, unfortunately. It does need to be softer because it is just too hard and rigid. And I'm worried that this ball joint is going to snap. So, yeah, I'm not happy about that at all. And also the hands as well. They either drop out too easily or, the same kind of thing, it pulls out the entire peg. So, yeah, not too happy on this build quality so far. But anyway, let's go on to the next head, shall we? Okay, so this is the head you see in most of the publicity photos of the figure on the box. And taking a look at it, it does look excellent. It is supposed to be, you know, Chucky as Charles Lee Ray, so rather than just having the all innocent looking good guy doll look, this is meant to look a bit more human like. As you can see, the eyebrows, you know, now do look like actual eyebrows rather than just being painted on. And he does have this bit pretty odd expression to his face. I'm not quite sure, but you can see his teeth in there. Just about. You can see his teeth are actually really well detailed in there. You can actually see they do look like actual human teeth. His eyes, again, have got paint bleed, which I'm really annoyed about. Also, you can see here, this is supposed to be a strand of hair. However, it hasn't quite worked. As you can see here, the way it's been put together. So it just looks like a bit of orange on his head. So, not a fan of that strand of hair there. But the other strands, do look pretty good, particularly this one there. And show his sort of fading hairline there. Again, the hair has the same sort of wash to it, where it's, you know, ginger with a like a sort of blonde goldish wash over the top. It is similar to this hair, but not quite as long or as streaky. As you can see here, this is definitely based on more of Child's Play 1 / Child's Play 2. I think more particularly Child's Play 2, really, because of those eyes. But yeah, it does look a lot like Child's Play. Unfortunately, paint bleed. This is not paint rub, because I've never put this head on the figure. But yeah, there's a slight bit of paint bleed on here on the neck as well, which is again irritating. Again, we've got the massive hole on the neck, but yeah, it does look really well detailed and really nice, and I do like the sort of scowling impression on it, especially the recess of his nose, and also the sort of slight lines and wrinkles. But you can also see the freckles and that on his face as well. But yeah, that bit of the hairline there, which hasn't quite gone in the way that they'd hoped, is slightly irritating, really. And finally, the last head, which I think is my favourite head, or might be joint favourite. So let's start off with the hair, the least interesting part. So again, not as much sort of blondish gold wash on this one. It is more of a ginger. And as you can see, it's not, again, it's closer to that length, but not quite as good. I do like that, though, that each hair sculpt is unique to each head. But yeah, this is obviously at the end of Child's Play 3, where Chucky has half of his face ripped off. And wow, just look at the detail in that. You can really see it's all bloody and gory, as Chucky is obviously becoming more human. You can see also his eye is slightly off center. Whether it's supposed to be like that, I'm not 100% sure. It does look a little bit odd. But you can see there his mouth is open as he is obviously screaming. Weirdly, I think this is maybe gluing wrong or something, but yeah, his lip is going over his teeth. I don't know if it's maybe that his mouth is closed or what, but yeah, he's clearly in pain, and there's a lot of blood around there. Not as much as you'd think, though, but it does look really good. From this side, he just looks like normal Chucky, but from this side, he becomes Two-Face. I do like the look of this. It's obviously been given a really dark wash. Initially, it's been painted a really dark colour, and then being given lighter coats over the top of it to really bring out that gory detail of it, of just his eye. I mean, realistically, if it's cutting off half your face like that, then it probably should have also taken your eye along with it. But no, his eye is thankfully perfectly intact, just like it was in the film. But yeah, this does look really good. It kind of almost looks like he's doing a Pennywise impression, because of the way this one's being painted. One eye's pointing one way and one eye's looking the other way. They're also not quite the same colour. They have a lighter blue. If we just compare it to the previous head, this is clearly Child's Play 2 one. You can just see they're slightly different. And obviously this is what he would later become many years later. But yeah, the Child's Play 3 had this. I don't know which one I prefer more. Because this one is more of the Chucky, you remember. Obviously, more scars, obviously. But this is a very iconic sort of scene where Chucky has his face ripped off and that, which eventually becomes stitched back together to make it look like this. But yeah, I really do like the gory details in that. But obviously, Chucky comes with a lot of accessories, so let's get on to them, shall we? Okay, as stated before, Chucky comes with his knife, and this is his knife from the first film, which was also briefly seen in Curse of Chucky, and it is a really unique designed knife. It does look very voodoo-like. You can see the sort of burgundy red colour, and also the skull and crossbone on the blade. If we switch it round on the other side, it is just the same design. It's got sort of a flame, but it is really well detailed, and for such a small size as well, but it does look comically large. I was wondering, why is this palm so open? And I realised this handle is huge, especially for a doll, but it does look excellent because of it. So yeah, but this isn't the only knife Chucky is packaged with. No. Maybe taking some tips from Michael Myers, this is just a more generic sort of kitchen knife, which Chucky mostly used, really, for most of his appearances. I mean, that first knife was his really only iconic sort of knife, and then from then on he just kind of used kitchen knives or whatever the hell he could find. Again, like the Michael Myers figure, yeah, it does look exactly like a kitchen knife, and you can see, though unfortunately, unlike the later Michael Myers, yeah, this has just been painted on the side and that, and it hasn't worked quite as well, the paint, again, bleeding around and that, so it doesn't look quite as good. The blade looks especially good, though I do like the sculpt of it, but the paint on it kind of lets it down a bit. Though I do like the little indentations here and there. But overall, you know, this is just more of a standard knife, whereas the other one was a lot more stylized. Now, other than just knives and weapons, we do have the ruler, which, paint bleed ahoy. And to be honest, it looks more like a tape measure than an actual ruler, but this is obviously from Child's Play 2, where Chucky beats someone to death with it. You can see there, unfortunately on mine, it is a bit bent. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that or not, but it is inevitably bent. It is nicely detailed, however, and it does have text on it and that. And it is pretty sharply detailed apart from that and yeah, but and also it has the little hole at the end, which is nice. Again, the detail on the other side is much of the same, but it is nice. The funny thing is, the ruler is bigger than Chucky by a fair bit. So that is a little bit of a comical effect on it. There is obviously also a baseball bat, which is pretty basic. It's all been painted in one colour, and you can see the seam line going down it, and at the back, the top, I mean, it's a bit rounded, and at the other side it's a bit flat there, but you can see where it's come off the production line there, where there's a little bit of a but yeah, it is all just one basic colour, really. It would have been nice if it maybe had a little bit of a woodish sort of wash to it, but again, it's a baseball bat, it is pretty basic, so I'll let this one slide, but it does look the most bland and basic out of all the accessories that are included with this figure. Going back to knives, Chucky has a little dagger, which I don't know if it may have this black on or it's paint bleed. I reckon, looking at the other side, that's probably paint bleed. It does look pretty nice, and it actually is pretty sharp, even if it is just made of plastic. You can see there the handle is being fairly well detailed with a gold tip and a gold bit there, and the handle as well. Again, not coming off too particularly well off the production line, but again, it's a nice alternate accessory to give Chucky, though I think more of the classic knives is, even the, you know, regular kitchen knife is more of an iconic look for Chucky than this. But like all men, Chucky knows when it's time to shave, so here is his razor. And yeah, it looks pretty good. It does look just like a, you know, a regular razor. I do like the handled look to it being a bit battered, and you can see gold accents. And as you can see, the inside, they've actually kept hollow. Unfortunately, the razor obviously doesn't flip, though it is nice that they've kept this gap here for it to obviously flip into, because it flips out, just like an actual razor. But yeah, the handle is actually really well detailed. It's got really nice texturing to it, and yeah, there's nothing I can really complain about. This is actually, the handle is really well detailed, and the blade is basic, but then again, it's a razor, of course it is. But yeah, I can't really have anything to complain about this one. Really nicely done. So when Chucky's really pissed off, he grabs a sword. And unfortunately, it's bent. It's being bent in the box. Now, whether it's meant to be bent or not, but it is bent. So yeah. Just stick that under some boiling water if they don't send me another. Handle, really well detailed. This, it really does look like wood, and they've went the extra mile with this, especially with the paint. Unfortunately, a bit of black has got on the gold tip of it, but still looking really well detailed. And again, for the metal sections of the gold bits here, really nicely detailed on it on both sides. The knife itself, it wasn't bent. It does have a thicker bit at the top there, and it does look really nice, yeah. So to be honest, again, really nice knife, particularly the handle, really well detailed. Again, you can't really detail a knife really much on it, because it's just really just a blade, so obviously it's just going to be a stick of silver. But very nice, very well detailed. A good guy doll hammer. I mean, as a hammer, it is pretty basic. And it does look the most plastically out of all of them, but yeah. Hammers for kids! Absolutely. But the good guy doll logo on it does look really nice. It even has a little trademark logo on it. But yeah, it's a reasonably detailed hammer on it. Unfortunately, the top looks a bit, what happened there? But it does have a nice little bit at the back for pulling out nails, so yeah. A nicely detailed hammer, and the good guy doll logo on it is really nicely printed on there as well, especially with the little trademark on there, so very nice hammer. This is the one and only gun that comes with Chucky, and it does look a bit shit, to be honest. Yeah, this hasn't come out of the moulding particularly well, I don't think. It does have some nice detailing around the handle, but yeah, it just doesn't look particularly good. I know this thing is teeny tiny. The other side doesn't look too bad. Actually, the other side has some pretty nice detailing on it. Well, that side just looks a bit off. I mean, it's alright, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, Chucky isn't really known for holding a gun anyway. It's normally a knife. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to have an inclusion, I guess, but it does look a bit naff compared to the rest of them. Now for the final accessory Chucky comes with, it's an alternate arm which has duct tape round it and a bit of blood at the end, and a knife sticking out of it. So this is obviously from Child's Play 2, where he has his hand taken off, ripped off quite literally. So he substitutes it for a knife with duct tape round it. Now the end should really be a lot darker. It should be a lot bloodier than it actually is. It just kind of just looks like the red at the end of his overalls, where it should really have a bit more blood poking out of it. But other than that, it doesn't. It's a nice little accessory that's included. But it is just literally a repaint around the arm. The sculpt for it, is the sculpt different for the arm, or is it the same? Let's have a look. Yeah, I think it is different for the duct tape slightly. So they haven't just repainted, they have resculpted this bit of the arm. So that is nice that they haven't just repainted, the existing overalls. They have slightly resculpted. And it does look nice, though it should, again, be look a lot bloody, a lot more gruesome than it actually does. Because it kind of just looks like he's just slipped a knife in his hands, up his sleeve, rather than, he has no hand now. This is his hand, which is a knife. The knife, again, really nicely detailed. It's got the little indentations, and it's probably the best looking out of them. This side, not too bad. This side looks pretty much immaculate, but this side, eh. But overall, a nice little accessory all the same. As mentioned before, Chucky does come with various hands and various poses, though, to be honest, they all are exactly the same, just whether it's open grip, clenched grip, slightly clenched, they're all pretty much the same. There's no detailing on them, and they do look, just like doll hands, basically. But it is nice that they come with them all the same. It's mainly just to hold the other accessories more than anything else. So, overall, what do I think of this figure? Well, I do really like it, but my god, did this figure have issues in terms of quality control issues for this figure. The build quality is really lacking in this figure, even more so than a lot of figures I've seen before. And I mean, I know this figure was released about a year ago, and NECA have clearly, improved since then, but still, though, he does feel pretty fragile in comparison to the others. I mean, I've mentioned the whole issue I've had with this head, but still, it's just really irritating. I mean, you might be thinking that I'm complaining quite a lot for this thing, I'm being so harsh on it, and you're right, I am. because this retails for £30 here in the UK. Now, I was able to get it cheaper on eBay for £12.34, which is a lot cheaper, and to be honest, I wouldn't want to pay anything more for this figure. But for the people who are paying £30, because, that is what NECA are asking here in the UK for, I do expect pretty much everything to meet that high ticket price. Because at the moment, the accessories are great and then the figure is great. If it's mainly just that build quality and also the quality control of the paint bleeds and everything. So yeah, that is really irritating about this figure. The hands do drop off too easily, or the head doesn't come off easily enough. So yeah, it is an irritating thing about this figure. I do like it though. It is really nice and well detailed, and if you can pick it up for the price or around the price that I picked it up, then yeah, I do highly recommend this figure. It is a really nice Chucky figure. But saying that, it going at it at your own risk. The quality control in this probably does vary. Some people watching this may have one, and theirs may be absolutely perfectly fine. And hey, good for you is all I can say. Unfortunately, mine was not. So yeah, it's kind of, maybe it's a luck of the draw thing, but regardless, I do recommend this figure. It is nicely well detailed, and you can put in quite a few poses. But anyway, that's it for this review, and I'll see you in the next video on whatever the hell I decide to do next. Okay then, bye bye. Okay, something I should mention. I was trying to remove Chucky's head for the first time. I've just got this figure out of the box. The hair immediately popped out, and so did the legs. And I've been trying for the past 20 minutes to try and get his bloody head off. But it will not come off. No matter what, it will not come off. So I'm going to complain about this.